Hello guys, my name is Kapil and today we are going to talk about how you can calculate standard deviation in an Excel file. I will also be covering how you can calculate standard deviation based on some criteria. Before I start, I am requesting you to please subscribe my YouTube channel and click on below bell icon to get the notifications for new updates. Let's start. We need to understand standard deviation first. What is standard deviation? Standard deviation is basically a study understand how your data is volatile or how your data is spread around the mean or how your data is deviated from the mean. It is basically used in the stat study and it is used by the statisticians in the engineering sector, in the financial sector to understand the data volatility. So let's start with the formula writing. So I'll be writing the simple standard deviation formula. I have this sample data for the sales volume which is listed as per the sales rep and the country wise. So what I'll be doing, I'll be writing STDEV and then bracket on, I'll be selecting this data and I'll be pressing the enter. Now you can see it has calculated the standard deviation. In the recent versions of Excel, new standard deviation formulas are introduced by Microsoft. What are these? So STDEV.P and .S. What does it mean? P denotes the population, S denotes the sample. It has segregated two different formulas. Let's understand what is population, what is sample. So suppose you have the entire data set. So when you want to analyze your entire data sets, then it is called a population. But when you analyze the sample data out of the population, then it is called a sample data. That is why we have two categories now. STDEV.P and then bracket on. In the similar method, you will be selecting the range, pressing enter. You can see it has calculated the standard deviation for the population. It is considering this entire data as a population, so it is not a sample. So that is how it is considering. But in the sample, when you write stdev.s and you select the data, it is giving you the sample size calculation for the standard deviation. So when you have the population, you should use always stdev.p, and when you have a sample, you can either use stdev.s or this simple stdev formula. Both will give the same output. Now we'll be going to talk about how you can calculate the standard deviation based on some criteria. So suppose if you have criteria like you want to calculate the standard deviation only for this particular sales rep who is Mike, and to calculate this, what do you need to do? You need to type DSTDEV and then bracket on. It is asking for the database. So this is my database from where I want to calculate the standard deviation. I'll be fixing this and then I'll be pressing comma and then field. Field is the column from where you want to derive the standard deviation. So this is the third column. You can either write 3 or you can write column header in the inverted comma. So you can see sales volume is the header from where I want to calculate the standard deviation. So I can write sales volume or I can write 3 here. Once I do this, I'll be giving the criteria. So what it will be doing, it will be checking the database against the given criteria. So what is my criteria? So you need to type your criteria in two cells. First cell will be the column header name and just below that you need to type the criteria. You can write Mike because we want to see the Mike. So Mike is mentioned here. So I will be selecting this two cells as a criteria. So it will be considering the first cell as a column header and the second cell as a criteria. And then I will be fixing this. I'll be pressing enter. Now you can see it has calculated the standard deviation for Mike. If I link this cell with this and now I want to calculate by changing it, like suppose if I want to calculate the standard deviation for Rudy, you can see it has changed and it has calculated the standard deviation for Rudy. So that is how you can calculate the standard deviation for one condition. But sometimes you have multiple conditions. In that case, there is a trick to calculate the standard deviation. What you need to do, you need to insert one column and you need to click unique identifier. You can create this unique identifier column either at the right side or the left side. So I'll be creating a unique identifier here. Suppose I want to check the standard deviation based on two columns. I'll be combining these two cells by writing this concatenate function, concatenate. So first text is the B column, then second is the country, and I'm pressing enter. Now it created the unique identifier sales rep and the country name. And then I'll be going down. I'll be just copying this formula, Control D, and now you can see it has created the unique identifier. So suppose now I want to calculate the standard deviation based on these two cells. So what I'll be doing, I'll be combining these two as well. Concatenate, because the name is coming first in the unique identifier column. So I'll be putting name first, then country. I'll be pressing enter. Now this is my unique identifier. So I'll be using the same formula, dget. This is my database. I'll be fixing the range. I'll be putting comma, then field. Now you can see the standard deviation column from where I want to derive the value. This is the fourth column, or either I can write 4 or I can write sales volume as a column header in inverted comma. I'll be writing 4, I'll be putting comma, then criteria. So this is my criteria, similar to the last one. I'll be pressing enter. Now it has calculated the standard deviation wherever it finds the Rudy and Japan in B and C. So that is how you can calculate standard deviation. Hope you like this video. Please give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe my channel. See you soon. Bye bye.